Welcome to Simola village here in the east of Finland. I have stayed last night at this hostel behind me here, the big yellow building. It is called the Vanha Koulu hostel. It was well situated for my travels. Last night I left the South Line Museum heading towards Lappeenranta, the city that I'm hoping to explore next. And this was about 30 minutes from the city. It's situated in a nice quiet village. I've seen a sign which illustrates that there are hiking trails and lots of areas to explore in the village itself. Unfortunately, the weather has taken a bit of a turn for the worst, started to rain. So instead of exploring the village, I'm going to take you inside the hostel, show you my room, and then we'll head towards the big city. That's the view outside the window, and before I give you a tour, let me just quickly give you a little bit of information on the room itself. So I purchased a single room and it cost £46 a night, although I had a free room on hotels.com. So by the time I deducted that, I paid £16, about 22 euros for this room last night, which ended up being a really good deal. It comes with free parking just on the road opposite, and free breakfast, which I'll show you in a second, but no Wi-Fi that I could find anyway. So let me give you a bit of a tour. We'll start round here in the shower room. Shower was good to start with last night, but ended up being cold. So I'm not sure what happened there, whether the hot water ran dry. There was also a bit of a flood in here last night. So not just your average splattering of water across the whole floor, but literally about an inch of water deep. Out here we then have some of the modern cons, so coffee maker, toaster, under here some cutlery, plates and all of that. In here some storage space, so if you're staying a bit longer than I am, some more storage space over this side with a fridge. There was the breakfast, and also a microwave as well. And then as we come through to the bedroom section, there's the main desk with a TV above it. The free breakfast is here. A cup of tea. No milk, unfortunately, that I could find. And then we've got this kind of, these bread, almost like, I'm not even sure what they are to be honest, but I'm going to try them. Butter or cheese, not sure what that is. We've got an apple, that looks good, a yogurt, and an egg. So yeah, breakfast in just a second. All my bits and pieces are on charge, and then as I come around, I purchased a single room. It has 2 single beds. A pretty good night's sleep, I've got to say, although it did take me a little longer to get off than usual, mainly because of that clock. It ticks for every second. I'm not used to it, and it's surprisingly loud when you're trying to get to sleep. So I'm going to, I think now, check out of the hostel, pack up my stuff, get it in the car, and then getting on the road and heading for Lappeenranta. Made it to Lappeenranta, and there is a map straight ahead of me. I'll just show you where the car is before I show you the map. There we go, parked up. I am the only person in the car park, would you believe? It is free parking, but you do have to display a little timer that you get with the car. There we go. Okay, so back to the map. Let me give you some context of where I am, and the city, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly, is down here in the red. I'm currently about there in the harbour area. There is a fortress behind me, and also the main city is around about there. The airport is just down here, not far away. That might stop me flying my drone. It is the oldest continuously operating airport in the city. And then the blue is of course the lakes. We're going to see lots of lakes from here on in, but this lake right here is the largest lake in Finland, Lake Saimaa. And as I come round a little bit, I'm going to show you that there are kiosks set up for food and drink. This is like an event space, I guess, with a stage area over the other side. And then as I come around even further, we get to the actual harbour area, and there's these boats set up. Really nice area for eating and drinking. Shame the weather has turned today. It's a bit rainy, a bit windy, very cold, and it's going to be a wet one, I think. But it is a lovely scene, no doubt about it. There's the promenade that runs alongside the harbour area. City population, by the way, is around 70,000 people. It's about the 13th largest city in the country. And as I said, it has a harbour right here on the largest lake. Pretty modern looking apartment buildings and yachts over the other side there. And then a fountain out in the waters. We will definitely be seeing a lot more of Lake Saimaa as the series progresses, because it is such a gigantic lake. It's going to feature in some of the places that I'm visiting way further north than here. And to give you some idea of how large it is, if you were to take a journey that follows the coastline of the lake, it would be a journey of about 14,000 kilometers. That's about 9,000 miles. It is the longest coastline of any lake anywhere in the world. It is also, I've got to say, a fairly shallow lake, relatively. 56 feet, that's about 17 meters is the average depth. It is as well very popular for the Finns to have their holiday homes on. There are over 500,000 holiday homes in Finland. More than 50,000 of them are built on the shores of the lake. And one more interesting fact, there are literally thousands of tiny islands. Some of them not so tiny, but lots of them very small. There are boats just ahead of me that do day trips to some of the islands. You can get off and explore. Some of them there are houses on, and some of the Finns live there. Some of them are just unoccupied and just sit there empty, waiting for somebody to go out and explore. Of the harbour, I found this sloped road that leads up, and I think it's going to lead me up towards the fortress. So I'm going to go up and take a look, and while I do that, it is just unfortunate that the weather is not playing ball today. It's pretty cold, wet, windy, but it was really nice to walk along the harbour area. Lots of families out and about enjoying the sights, I'm sure. There was also a pavilion right over in the corner of the harbour that caught my eye, so I walked over to it. Turned out you could go up to the first level, and from there you had some great views over the lake, and it would have been a perfect spot to just watch the boats pass by if it hadn't have been so cold and windy. I think I'm now approaching the top of the hill, and I can see a little map over there, so we're going to go and have a look to see what we can expect to find. And yeah, so there's the harbour. That's where I parked the car, down there somewhere. I walked along there. There's the pavilion I was talking about, and the sandcastle. And this road here, I think, is the one that I've just walked up, so I'm probably about there now. But it looks like there is a whole old town at the top of this fortress. The bastions around the outside there, these were all, I guess, fortified and protected historically. But look at the amount of different building types there are. Man, this is probably a video on its own if you really wanted to spend the time up here. see the fortifications ahead of me now, down below the wall that I'm standing on, and the lake there just in the distance. As I turn around, you can see along the fortifications old wooden houses, probably once military barracks, I would imagine. It was the Swedes, the Kingdom of Sweden, that began building this project in 1721, and the Russians continued it in 1741. Over in the distance there I can see a marquee, so I think I'm going to head over to that. And I'll tell you as well that in its day this was part of the large fortification system that also included Hamina Fortress, which we visited a couple of videos ago, and Suomenlinna Sea Fortress, which I have visited before as well. So quite a project. I'm going to get over to that canopy and see what that's about. Looks like it's a theatre set up for local events, nothing too historical. So I'm going to press on now. I've left the fortress and I've headed into the newer section of the city now, and there is a giant memorial here. You can see thousands and thousands of names of Finnish soldiers who died during, there's more over here as well, died during the Winter War and the continuation war between 1939 and 1944. It is just endless. It goes all the way on up there. And my understanding is as well that these soldiers that are named on this memorial were buried in territory that is now Russia. So they are buried outside of current day Finland. Very sad indeed. Originally, the church of the town was situated inside the safety of the fortress walls where I was a little bit earlier. But when it burned down in 1790 as a consequence of a lightning strike, they decided not to build a new one inside the fortress walls, but out here in the middle of the forests. This is the church, St. Mary's. It is no longer, of course, in the middle of the forest. It is now right in the heart of the city. Now resorted to me cowering underneath the shelter of a coffee shop. It's raining pretty hard, although it's just letting up a little bit. Unfortunately, rain has stopped play here in the city today. I've been able to have a pretty good look around, but not seen everything I wanted. But you can't control the weather, you got to make the most out of it, and that's hopefully what I've done. So we're going to head, I think, out here now, back towards the rental car. You can see a lot of these outdoor restaurants, of course, are closed today. This is, I think, the High Street area. Shops on both sides, lots of really nice dining places under the trees, but it isn't to be today. So as I said, I'm going to head back now towards the rental car, and I am hoping to head on towards a place called Puumala. So if you're interested in joining me, I think the road is expected to be very scenic. Might not be so much in this weather, but we'll see. Consider joining me for the next video. Thanks for watching. Good afternoon from Finland.